The crystalline dome of Sector 7 hummed with artificial gravity as Jassy stepped into the xenobiology observation chamber. Her neural implant flickered with incoming data streams, painting holographic overlays across her vision. Before her, separated by a force field that shimmered like heated air, stood Daniel. Though calling him Daniel felt like calling a supernova a little bright. He wasn't human. Not anymore. Not for 300 years. Subject exhibits aggressive posturing. The AI announced in Jassy's auditory cortex. Recommend maintaining safe distance. Daniel's form had evolved beyond recognition of his original species. His body was a marvel of biomechanical fusion. Chitinous plates merged seamlessly with synthetic muscle fiber, creating a creature that existed in the uncanny valley between organic and artificial. His eyes, all 6 of them arranged in a predatory arc across his elongated skull, glowed with bioluminescent intensity. They were practicing the stare, the apex predator's final warning before the kill. The cubs flanked him. 3 juveniles of his transformed kind, each the size of a terrestrial bear, their bodies still soft with youth, but already showing the aggressive adaptations that had allowed their species to survive in the Kepler 442b colonies. Their mandibles clicked in unison, a sound that sent primal fear cascading down Jassy's spine despite her training. They had been practicing for weeks. The stare, the approach, the intimidation protocols that would allow them to defend their territory against the Vex incursions that had been bleeding through the dimensional rifts. Jassy had watched through surveillance feeds as Daniel trained them, his movements patient despite the predatory nature his transformation had given him. The cubs lowered their heads now, their multiple eyes fixing on her with that same unsettling intensity. Their synthetic organic hybrid bodies coiled, ready to spring. Every behavioral indicator in Jassy's HUD flashed red. Threat level, critical. Predatory stance detected. Recommend immediate evacuation. Jassy reached for the force field controls and deactivated them. Dr. Chun, what are you? The AI's protest cut off as Jassy overrode its safety protocols with her administrator access. The cubs froze. Daniel's larger form tensed, confusion rippling across his biosensors. Jassy stepped through the space where the barrier had been, her boots clicking softly on the polymer floor. The chamber suddenly felt smaller, the air thick with pheromones and electrical charge. The first cub, the smallest, with copper-tinted plating along its dorsal ridge, maintained its stare. Its eyes never wavered, pupils dilating and contracting in a hypnotic rhythm meant to paralyze prey. Its siblings matched the intensity, creating a wall of predatory focus that had been known to induce cardiac arrest in lesser species. Jassy knelt down. "Good babies," she whispered, her voice soft despite the adrenaline flooding her system. "Such scary babies." She reached out slowly, her hand trembling not with fear, but with the effort of moving against every survival instinct screaming in her nervous system. The copper-plated cub's stare intensified. Its mandibles spread wider, revealing the quantum-edged teeth that could slice through starship hulls. Jassy pressed her lips gently against its nose. The effect was instantaneous. The cub's eyes widened, all 6 of them, in what could only be described as absolute confusion. Its carefully maintained predatory stance collapsed like a quantum wave function encountering an observer. The creature made a sound somewhere between a chirp and a mechanical whir, its head tilting at an angle that would have been anatomically impossible for its original human template. The other cubs broke formation immediately. The second one, with silver threading through its exoskeleton, pushed forward eagerly, its previous intimidation display completely forgotten. The third practically tripped over its own biomechanical limbs in its haste to reach Jassy. "No, no, no." Daniel's voice emerged from his modified vocal structure, a sound like gravel being processed through a synthesizer. "We were working on that for weeks. But it was too late." Jassy was kissing noses, each cub presenting itself for affection, their bodies vibrating with subsonic purrs that made the floor plates resonate. Their tails, tipped with neural interface ports, wagged with enough force to dent the reinforced walls. 3 weeks of intimidation training, Daniel continued, his multiple arms gesturing in exasperation. 3 weeks of getting them to hold the stance, maintain eye contact, project dominance. And you just kissed them. "They're adorable," Jassy said, scratching behind the auditory sensors of the copper-plated cub. It immediately flopped onto its back, exposing the vulnerable power core in its chest, the absolute opposite of a predatory display. They're supposed to be terrifying. Daniel's frustration made his bioluminescence flicker. The Vex are coming through the rifts in 2 cycles. These cubs need to be able to defend the colony. They need to be apex predators, not whatever this is. The silver-threaded cub was now attempting to climb into Jassie's lap, despite being roughly 300 kilograms of hybrid matter. Its eyes, which moments ago had promised death, now radiated something uncomfortably close to puppy dog devotion. Daniel, Jassie said, looking up at the transformed being who had once been her research partner before the augmentation protocols. Do you remember what you told me before you underwent the transformation? Before you volunteered to become the first hybrid? Daniel's form stilled. His multiple eyes dimmed slightly, accessing memory files that predated his current configuration. You said humanity's strength was never in being the scariest thing in the room, Jassie continued. You said it was in our ability to find common ground with the scary things, to build bridges instead of barriers. That was different, Daniel argued, but his voice lacked conviction. That was about diplomacy with the Vex, not what? Not teaching the next generation that they can be strong and loved, that they can protect us because they care about us, not just because we trained them to be weapons. The third cub, seeing its siblings receiving attention, finally broke its last pretense of intimidation and bounded over, nearly crushing them all in its enthusiasm. Daniel watched his carefully trained warriors dissolve into a pile of affectionate chaos. His shoulders, all 4 of them, slumped in defeat. Then, slowly, something changed in his posture. His bioluminescence shifted from the red of frustration to a softer blue. They're going to be useless against the Vex, he said, but there was something like warmth in his synthetic voice. Maybe, Jassie agreed, now completely buried under hybrid cubs. Or maybe they'll be exactly what we need. Maybe the Vex will come through those rifts expecting monsters, and they'll find something they can't compute. Creatures who are both fierce and kind. Daniel's largest hand reached down, hesitating for just a moment before gently scratching the copper-plated cub's chin. The cub's purr increased in frequency, creating a harmonic that resonated through the chamber. You ruined weeks of training, he said. I improved it. Jassie corrected. I in the distance, alarms began to sound. The Vex rifts were opening ahead of schedule. But in that moment, in the xenobiology chamber of Sector 7, a transformed human and his entirely 2 human research partners sat surrounded by predators who had learned that love and strength weren't mutually exclusive. The cubs would face the Vex. They would fight with everything their hybrid nature had given them. But they would also remember the human who kissed their noses and taught them that being dangerous didn't mean being cruel. And perhaps, in the grand scope of the universe, that would make all the difference.